Panchatattva Prabhu would like to lead the kirtan.
Well, is there anybody? I began the last class. Is there anyone else who'd like to?
Maybe not right away.
All right. Anyway.
Just
Okay.
1 second. Hold on 1 second, please. I'm supposed to be recording this on my computer, but I'm not getting the option and I don't know why. Am I a host here? I'm not getting the option to record. I don't know if my husband can help me out with this. Just another 30 seconds.
It says you're the host.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not, I don't have the option. Oh, wait, now I do. Okay, how odd. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnu God Paramahansa Paripurajaka Ashto Tarasata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navdeep Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Haribol. Jai Maharaj. Thank you to Panchatattva Prabhu for leading the kirtan. Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. Today is Wednesday, April 26, 2023, and we are reading in the third canto, 16th chapter, titled The Two Doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, Cursed by the Sages. We take it up again with text 22. As always, we're eager to hear everyone's comments and questions, so please use the raise hand feature or simply unmute yourself and speak when Maharaj asks for questions. Or you can type your comments into the chat window. We ask that you do not send any chat messages as Maharaj is reading because it makes it more difficult for him to read them. And at the end of class, I'll post some helpful links that you can share with your friends so that they can attend as well. And if anyone wants to lead the closing kirtan, and you can just contact me via the private message. And we're glad that you could join us all the way from, you're in Radhadesh now, Maharaj?
I'm in Radhadesh now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Tulsi Priya, and thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharmasyate Bhagavatas Triyuga Tribhisvai Padbhishchara Charamidam Vijadevatartam Nunam Pratam Tad Abhikati Rajastamascha Satvena no Radaya Tanuva Nirasya. O Lord, you are the personification of all religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millenniums, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. By your grace, which is of pure goodness and is the bestower of all blessings, kindly drive away the elements of Rajas and Tamas for the sake of the demigods and twice born. Purport. The Lord is addressed in this verse as Triyuga, or one who appears in 3 millenniums, namely the Satya, Dwapara, and Treta Yugas. He is not mentioned as appearing in the 4th millennium or Kali Yuga. It is described in Vedic literature that in Kali Yuga he comes as Chanda avatar, or an incarnation, but he does not appear as a manifest incarnation. In the other yugas, however, the Lord is a manifest incarnation, and therefore he is addressed as Tri-yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. Sridhar Swami describes Tri-yuga as follows. Yuga means, well, before we go there, Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Lord is addressed as Tri-yuga because he appears manifest as an incarnation in 3 ages, and in the 4th age, Kali Yuga, appears but not as a manifesting himself as an incarnation, but as a devotee. So we have this term Tri-yuga, which appears often, and this is the understanding given by the Goswamis. Now, Sridhar Swami describes Tri-yuga as follows. Yuga means couple, and Tri means 3. The Lord is manifested as 3 couples by his 6 opulences, or 3 couples of opulences. In that way, he can be addressed as Tri-yuga. The Lord is the personality of religious principles. In 3 millenniums, religious principles are protected by 3 kinds of spiritual culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. The Lord is called Tri-yuga in that way also. In the age of Kali, these 3 requisites to spiritual culture are always absent, but the Lord is so kind that in spite of Kali Yugas being devoid of these 3 spiritual qualities, he comes and protects the people of this age in his covered incarnation as Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is called covered because although he is Krishna himself, he presents himself as a devotee of Krishna, not directly Krishna. The devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance, the most conspicuous assets of this yuga. In the Krishna consciousness movement, one cleanses oneself of the modes of passion and ignorance by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, as introduced by Lord Chaitanya. So we have these various meanings of Tri Yuga, and taking them in any of these contexts, Srila Prabhupada points us toward Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Four Kumars were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although in Vaikuntha they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord, since they were conscious of their own weakness, they prayed to the Lord to remove their still existing passion and ignorance. The three transcendental qualifications, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy, are the qualifications of the twice-born and the demigods. Those who are not situated in the quality of goodness cannot accept these three principles of spiritual culture. For the Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited, namely illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasad offered to Krishna. These three prohibitions are based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. Devotees are merciful because they spare the poor animals, and they're clean because they are free of contamination from unwanted foodstuff and unwanted habits. Austerity is represented by restricted sex life. These principles, indicated by the prayers of the four Kumars, should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. Yes, so Srila Prabhupada is once again emphasizing the importance of following the four regulative principles and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Shruti Kunj. Usually we hear about the four pillars of spiritual culture: cleanliness, mercy, austerity, and truthfulness. I wonder why truthfulness isn't mentioned here. Is it less important than the other three? Also, only three regulative principles are mentioned here. Avoiding gambling, represented by truthfulness, or is avoiding gambling, represented by truthfulness, less prominent. The Prabhupada hasn't mentioned truthfulness because still there's some truthfulness in Kali Yuga. This Tri Yuga is the term under discussion. You appear in three ages, or you appear, in response to the absence of three qualities. I think that appears in the purports of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur later on. And then in Kali Yuga, some truthfulness is still there. So he's called Tri Yuga. So these are the three things totally missing. If you don't want to miss truthfulness, then don't gamble. Gambling will take away truthfulness also. No, it's not less important. One should avoid all four sinful activities. These are called sinful activities. They're not called just contaminating or unwanted. Elsewhere, Prabhupada refers to them as the principles, pillars of sinful life. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yesham Kvankribhitam Pa. One can understand Krishna consciousness when he's come to the end of sinful life. So strictly we should follow these regulative principles. No intoxicants, no gambling, no meat eating, no illicit sex. Anything else? Oh, Tulsi Priya isn't. Oh, Saraswati, okay. Is the Kalki avatar of Kali Yuga not a manifest incarnation? But he is, but he's not the Yuga avatar. He's one of the Leela avatars. So there are three other Yuga avatars: white incarnation, red incarnation, black incarnation. That's mentioned by Gargamuni at the time of Lord Krishna's birth ceremony. But where's the Yuga avatar for Kali Yuga? That's described here. Also, the Kumars are praying to have elements of passion and ignorance removed for the sake of the demigods and the twice born, but don't mention others not in this category. Is that because only demigods and the twice born are eligible to stand a chance to remove the baser modes of nature? Let's see if I saw something about that. Elsewhere, Prabhupada explains that when we protect the body, we especially protect the head. So all the parts of the body are important, but the head is the most important part. So we especially stress Brahminical culture. That doesn't mean we don't need Kshatriyas, we don't need Vaishyas, we don't need Shudras, but the head is most important. When you want, for any good project, you need a good brain. Someone with a brain needs to be in charge. Then that person will direct the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Shudras. So it's not that the other elements, the other members of society are unimportant, but this is the most important. The other members can get freed. They can come. Therefore, the Lord told Arjuna, who was a Kshatriya, Nistragunya Bhavarjuna, become free from the modes of nature. Tulsi Priya, isn't truthfulness the most important? It seems to me to be almost the foundation of the other three spiritual pillars. Well, I don't want to make a case for which one is more important, which one's less important. Give me 1 second, okay? Okay, we have drafts. All four are important. If you have the roof of the building held up by 4 pillars, you don't want to start arguing about which pillars are most important. All 4 are needed. Mina says, I can understand gambling and lack of truth in relationship with speculating on the truth. But how is gambling for something valuable, etc., untruthful? let's see, untruthfulness is associated with, by the way, I've seen this list appeared in different ways with different items list linked to them. Sometimes mercy is linked to animal killing, sometimes truthfulness to gambling. But I've also seen Srila Prabhupada link them different ways. So I don't know that it's strictly a one-to-one correspondence. All of the sinful activities help all of the, or deteriorate all of these religious principles. I don't know how gambling particularly goes after truthfulness. Of course, a person becomes a gambler. He lies to, you can expect him to lie. And it's also, you can expect him to be involved in illicit sex and the other unwanted principles. They typically go together. Therefore, casinos don't just offer gambling, they offer intoxicants, they offer illicit sex, they offer meat eating. Not just, we wouldn't expect Donald Trump to open up a vegetarian casino for chaste people. Nothing special about Trump. We wouldn't expect anyone to open a vegetarian casino.
Raj?
Oh yeah, here we go. This is Vishwanath. Three qualities are mentioned because truth continues in Kali Yuga in spite of the destruction of Dharma. So, yeah. Oh, okay. Let's see if he is back. I guess I take it as foundational because truthfulness is the last leg of religion. Has persisted to some degree up to Kali Yuga, even as the other pillars have disintegrated. But are you saying any pillar could have been the last leg? No, this is how we usually find it. I just mentioning tangentially, the prophet sometimes links things differently. Natram dvijotamakulam yadi atma gopam gopta vishasvar gopta vishasvarhanena sasunritena taryeva nanshati shivas tavadeva panta loko grahishad vishapasya hitat pramanam. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord himself that the acts and character of great authorities are followed by people in general. Leaders of ideal character are therefore needed in society. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in this material world just to show the example of perfect authority, and people have to follow his path. The Vedic injunction is that one cannot understand the absolute truth simply by mental speculation or logical argument. One has to follow the authorities. Mahajanayena Gatasapanta. Great authorities should be followed. Otherwise, if we simply depend on the scriptures, we are sometimes misled by rascals, or else we cannot understand or follow the different spiritual injunctions. This interesting, usually we hear that it's scripture that's our standard for everything. Sriyat Pramanam, not Sriyat Pramanam, Tasmat Shastra Pramanam. Our standard is the Shastra. And we understand the Guru and the saintly persons in terms of Shastra. So that's all true. That's all true. And yet here, Srila Prabhupada says that even in following scripture, we can get it wrong. We can, if we simply depend on the scriptures, we're sometimes misled by rascal interpreters of scriptures, or else we just can't understand, can't make our way through the scriptural injunctions. Bhagavatam opens, Puri Bhurini Karmani Shrotavyani Vibhagasha. Therefore, Puri Bhurini Karmani Shrotavyani Vibhagasha Atas Sadhotra Yatsaram Samudvitya Maniche. Puri Bhurini. So there's so many different shastras, and they say so many different things, that even if one has said, all right, let me follow the shastras, which shastras? What part of shastra? What do I do when I find apparently contradictory injunctions in shastra? How do I follow the injunctions of shastra? So even if I agree to follow shastra, I should be properly guided by a Mahajan, or follower of the Mahajans, Mahajana Enakata Sapanta. Otherwise, I may misunderstand. The best path is to follow the authorities. So that means here in this context, follow the authorities, because Shastra is authority, but it means follow the persons who represent the authority of Vedic Shastra. The four Brahmin sages stated that Krishna is naturally the protector of the cows and Brahmins. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. When Krishna was on this planet, he set a practical example. He was a cowherd boy, and he was very respectful to the Brahmins and devotees. It is also affirmed herein that the Brahmins are the best of the twice born. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are all twice born, but the Brahmins are the best. And here's what I was alluding to from Srila Prabhupada. When there's a fight between two persons, each of them protects the upper part of his body, the head, the arms, and the belly. Similarly, for the actual advancement of human civilization, the best part of the social body, namely the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, the intelligent class of men, the military class, and the mercantile men, should be given special protection. Protection of the laborers should not be neglected, but special protection should be given to the upper orders. Of all classes of men, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas should be given special protection. They should be worshipped. When their protection is performed, it is just like worshiping God. This is not exactly protection, it's a duty. One should worship the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas by offering them all kinds of endowments and sweet words, And if one has no means to offer anything, he must at least use sweet words to pacify them. The Lord personally exhibited this behavior toward the Kumaras. If this system is not introduced by the leaders, then human civilization will be lost. When there's no protection and special treatment for persons who are devotees of the Lord, who are highly intelligent in spiritual life, then the whole society is lost. The word nangshati indicates that such a civilization becomes spoiled and is annihilated. So again, the head of society is the most important section. And without the importance given, without worshiping the Brahmins, respecting them, what's the word? Extremely. We won't have a proper human civilization. The kind of civilization recommended is called Devapata. Devapata, which means the royal road of the demigods. Demigods are supposed to be fully fixed in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. That is the auspicious path that should be protected. If the authorities or the leaders of society do not give special respect to the Brahmins and Vaishnavas and do not offer them not only sweet words but all facilities, then the path of progress will be lost to human civilization. The Lord personally wanted to teach this, and therefore he offered so much praise to the Kumaras. So much importance to the Brahmins, so much importance to the Vaishnavas, and protection for the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, protection for the devotees, providing them facilities, providing what they need, worshiping the devotees of the Lord, the not worshiping the so-called Daridra Narayan. The feet are the most important. The feet are the most important. There's a sense in which we say that we want to include everyone, all members of society. When there was a feast, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw to it that all the members of society, everyone was fed, down to the dogs. The Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, the animals, everyone. So in that way, charity should be profuse and one shouldn't be stingy. One shouldn't think, no, feet deserve nothing. But by comparative analysis, but it doesn't say the feet should be worshipped. The feet are the most important. This is your communist notion. Nothing is more important than feet. No. Nothing is more important than the head. The head is, you can do even without your feet if somehow you had to sacrifice one section, but you can't do without the head. The head cannot be sacrificed. Okay, there's things happening in chat land. Let's see what's going on. Tulsi Priya, I guess it takes. No, we saw that. Sure, because a devotee once told me that gambling is untruthful because it feeds the cheating propensity. Because the person is trying to cheat destiny and get more than they're destined to. Yeah, that's a reasonable explanation. And we see that so often gambling involves cheating also, cheating at cards, cheating at dice, cheating at shukuni, cheating at dice, cheating in so many ways. Supriya, what about when those we take as authorities preach adjustments, especially to regulative principles? We are told what Guru says must be in accordance with previous acharyas and Shastra, but we may see an adjustment for various reasons. Devotees may sometimes reject their Guru because they see these adjustments as deviations. Well, the spiritual master should be able to adjust according to the time, the place, the circumstances. But we shouldn't see the Guru says, well, illicit sex, that was for a previous age, and I love you so much, and one of those Bollywood sannyasi dramas. That should not be the kind of adjustment that's accepted, but the spiritual master at his discretion may try to find ways and means to uplift people to Krishna consciousness, even by bending rules. But that's something undertaken by the acharyas with great care and with great discretion, because as soon as it becomes wholesale, well, it's not an adjustment anymore, that for a specific situation, it's really for all of us because we're all fallen, and so we're all entitled to a waiver of strict regulative principles. That should not be our theme. When Srila Prabhupada initiated people so many times, he said that one should follow these regulative principles strictly. One should follow these regulative principles strictly. Not that because the tendency is there for illicit sex or intoxication, or meat eating or gambling, the spiritual master should just sort of go along with the illicit desires of the disciple, either out of weakness or out of desire for many disciples or for other such reasons. But the bona fide spiritual master may sometimes make adjustments. Saraswati, I've been thinking of the Mahabharata and Yudhishthira Maharaj's gambling activity, which Krishna said made Yudhishthira lose truthfulness, because the things and people he staked it didn't really belong to him, but everything belonged to Krishna. Also, Bhishma Dev is one of the Mahajans, and he also failed to act with religious duties by not taking up arms to stop Draupadi's insult. So it's confusing, because if a Mahajana can sometimes also lose their religious duty, then does this mean the ordinary citizens shouldn't blindly follow scripture or Mahajan? We should follow the Mahajans, even if we see that there may be some slight discrepancy or there may be some circumstantial discrepancy. But we should follow the Mahajans, because other people are, what is that? They're just following other blind men, and we'll wind up in a ditch, even if the path may have some stones on it. If we follow the Mahajans, we'll get to the destination. If we follow other people, we'll go down and down. We're following Brahma. We've heard that Brahma fell victim to attraction to his daughter, but we haven't abandoned Lord Brahma. Brahma stole Krishna's cowherd boys and cows, and yet we still, we still haven't abandoned Lord Brahma. So, Kapila did the Kumars cursed Jai and Vijay, but we're not going to say, oh, well, they're not Mahajans. We're not going to follow them or respect them. We should follow the Mahajans. The Kumars are explaining, or yes, as part of the larger context, the Lord has spoken about taking the dust from the feet of the Brahmins. That's in verse 7. And the Kumars say, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti, though we couldn't understand, those words are for teaching the people. Tatena pishtam iva sattva deter viditso shemam janaya nija shakti vir ugritare naitaivatat triadipater naitavatat triadipater bata vishwapartus te jakshatam svavanatasya Sate Vinodaha. Dear Lord, you never want the auspicious path to be destroyed, for you are the reservoir of all goodness. Just to benefit people in general, you destroy the evil elements by your mighty potency. You are the proprietor of the three creations and the maintainer of the entire universe. Therefore, your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Rather, by submission, you exhibit your transcendental pastimes. Purport: Lord Krishna was never reduced in his position by becoming a cowherd boy or by offering respect to Sudama Brahman or his other devotees like Nanda Maharaj, Vasudeva, Maharaj Yudhishthira, and the Pandava's mother, Kunti. Everyone knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, yet his behavior was exemplary. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Satchidananda Vigraha. His form is completely spiritual, full of bliss and knowledge, and it is eternal. Because the living entities are his parts and parcels, originally they also belong to the same quality of eternal form as the Lord. But when they come in contact with Maya, the material potency, due to their forgetfulness, their existential constitution is covered. We should try to understand the appearance of Lord Krishna in this spirit as the Kumars pray to him. He is eternally a cowherd boy at Vrindavan. He is eternally the leader of the battle of Kurukshetra, and he is eternally the opulent prince of Dwarka, and the lover of the damsels of Vrindavan. All his appearances are meaningful because they show his real characteristics to the conditioned souls who have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord. He does everything for their benefit. The force exhibited in the battle of Kurukshetra by the desire of Krishna and through the agency of Arjuna was also necessary, because when people become too irreligious, force is required. Non-violence in this respect is rascaldom. So the Lord protects the path of religious principles, Deva Pata. He doesn't want to see it destroyed. Let me just see here. And yes, Tejakshatam Travayanat Travananat Travan Anastasia Sate Vinona. My app has changed again and my type has become small. Go figure. Because the Lord wants the benefit of everyone, he wants to protect this path. And when he does that, he may appear in these different roles, but he's always the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Kumars are saying, you're respecting us out of your humility just to teach people in general. But we know that you're always the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mina says, I'm also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid I'm the splendor. I'm victory, I'm adventure, and I'm the strength of the strong. Purport, there are many kinds of cheaters all over the universe. Of all cheating processes, gambling stands supreme, and therefore represents Krishna. As the Supreme, Krishna can be more deceitful than any mere man. If Krishna chooses to deceive a person, no one can surpass him in the deceit, in his deceit. His greatness is not simply one-sided, it's all-sided. Bhagavad Gita 10:36. Yes, all cheating, gambling is number one. Thank you for that. And who would argue that cheating is truthful? And Saraswati stated nonviolence is rascaldom. So is Gandhi's nonviolence for independence for India, not per religious principles. When is nonviolence bona fide? Really, Srila Prabhupada seems to be, what's the word? He's not saying anything about any particular individual, but he consistently condemns the attempt to portray Bhagavad Gita as a book of nonviolence and what's the word, deprecates, disparages this notion that nonviolence is supreme religious principle to be followed by everyone. Nonviolence is there as one of the Brahminical principles, especially, or one of the principles of religion. It's not that nonviolence is everything, or that nonviolence is for everyone. The Kshatriyas must be violent, and Krishna is telling Arjuna, Yudhaya Kritanishchaya, you fight with determination. So how is that nonviolence? The calls it rascal. Gandhi's tactic was shrewd. The British had all the power, so he took the opportunity to get public sympathy by this program of passive resistance. So that may be good politics, but it's not the religious principle that Krishna is teaching. Even Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur have said that which obstructs someone's spiritual progress is violence. That which obstructs spiritual progress is violence. And in that sense, yes. And finally, nonviolence for Indian independence. But this is some temporary political objective. India is now independent, but it's not that it's become what should we say, dharmic nation envisioned by Gandhiji with simple villages and self-sufficiency. So the independence just means essentially they become another, anyway, we won't say it, but it hasn't brought about the desired effect. Yeah, I was going to mention, as Tulsi Priya brings out, that Gandhiji was for nonviolence, and he started in 1972, and up to 47, the Britishers didn't go. But when Subhash Chandra Bose started the Indian National Army, that ruined the British control of India. The British were controlling millions of people in India with just a few British authorities. But when the army became essentially disloyal, when they couldn't rely on the army to serve their interests in exploiting India, then they left. Right, I think we can stop here and have kirtan.
Maharaj, I saw Madame Gopal Prabhu in the Zoom. I was wondering if he would like to lead the kirtan if he's available.
Just to see Madame Gopal Prabhu is so nice, and if we get to hear him, how much better.
Hare Krishna. How long do we go for the kirtan?
Just a few minutes.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Taigo Pranande.
I Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paripajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Nam Acharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Mukund Radha Kumi Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you to Haridas Prabhu, to Meena Dasi, Tulsi Priya, and all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Again, my screen doesn't tell me everything.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
And thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Please share the class links with your friends. And I hope we will see you again on tomorrow for Chaitanya Charitamrita class Charitamrita class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His
Jai.
Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta ki Jai.
Jai.
Or Premanande.
Haribo. Haribo.